Hey everybody, this is John Macaluso. You're listening to Sonic Perspectives. Yo!
Hey,
Rodrigo.
man. Yes, speaking. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Where are you? Where do you live?
I actually live in Toronto, Canada.
Oh,
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. I thought it was something else.
Well,
cool.
I'm Brazilian, so I moved here to Toronto about a year ago. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rush, man. That's a good thing about Toronto, right? Rush.
Oh, my God. There's so many Rush references here, man. You know, you just step on them at every corner, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, for example, the cover of Moving Pictures, it's like half an hour from my house, you know?
Ah, cool.
Yeah. Well, Geddy Lee is supposed to live like 20 minutes from my place, but I never met him. You know, it's a dream of mine to meet one of the guys in Rush. So, yeah.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. They're like untouchable. Like, you never see them anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorites ever, man. Rush.
Yeah.
My God.
They're very low key, so it's kind of impossible to come across them. But anyway, yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Thanks, man. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
so,
likewise. Likewise. It's been a great week to talk to drummers because I interviewed Terry Bozzio just a few days ago. So
that's my hero. This is my favorite drummer ever.
Yeah.
He's my biggest influence. I love Terry Bozzio, man.
He's great. He's great indeed. And you're living in Italy now. Was this move motivated by work or like personal reasons?
Yeah, do you know ARK? We did the band, Burn the Sun, my old band, ARK, A-R-K. You know them?
Yeah, for sure.
That was,
yeah.
Okay. So I was the founder of ARK, and we had some problems, so we broke up maybe 5 times. And then I'd say when was it? About 6 years ago, we talked about getting it back together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my baby. It's the only band I ever started. Mm-hmm. I've always been playing for other people. So I said, man, get ARK back together, of course. So I sold everything I had, pretty much, and I moved over to Sweden to start working because the guitar player was living in Sweden. So to go write new songs and get the thing going. And after about a month and a half, the same shit happened and we broke up again.
Oh,
and I said, there's no way I'm going back to New York now. I'm not going to do it. And a friend of mine said, hey, man, come over here to do a clinic, and maybe I could book you a couple more. So I came to Italy to do a clinic, and I never left. I've been here for like 6 years.
Oh,
true story, man. I didn't expect it. I met a beautiful girl. I got married, and everything's cool. I like it here.
Oh, cool. Is your friend by any chance Marcos Fogli?
He's a friend of mine, but he's not the guy who told me to come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uncle's badass, man. We did James LaBrie tour together. He's a great guitar player.
Yeah, he is indeed. But, yeah, I mean, you mentioned ARK, and I had a question about that down the track. But the plan now to keep the ARK legacy alive is when you play, for example, with Union Radio and your other endeavors, right? There's no plans to restart that band.
No, I mean, unfortunately, we started off as a trio.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Burn the Sun, I recruited my 2 favorites, Randy and Mats, on bass and guitar, because I was not bass and keys, because they were with me with Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
So when we were going to do Burn the Sun, we said, what are we going to do? We're going to hire a keyboard player, and we were talking, and I said, wait a minute, I'm just going to get my buddies from Yngwie. So I called them up, and they said, yeah, we're cool. And we flew them to Germany, and we did Burn the Sun. Burn the Sun was done kind of, the music was written by me and Tora, like maybe 6 months before we recorded. And everything else was done on the spot. They came to Germany, they listened, they recorded. Jørn came in and came up with melodies like that, and me and Jørn wrote lyrics together. So while one guy was recording at night, the other guys were sleeping. And then it was like a shift. Okay, you go record now, you write lyrics. And it was like an assembly line. And the thing was done, and it came out brilliant, but it was done so strange because there was no, it was just like, there was a lot of improv, a lot of improvisation, you know. But anyway, Randy and Matt's unfortunately passed away. You know, and you know, the band has so many stupid. I think we're the stupidest three guys in the world because we could have been huge if we kept going because everybody loves. There's a big cult following, and if we did a third album, I think it would be huge. But we just have too many problems. It never works, man. It's like the band has a lot of when we're together, there's just always it's like a black cloud that hangs over it. I tried so many times to put it together. Oh. So, you know, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. But what I'm going to do, because it's like 20 years since I formed it, so this year. So as an anniversary, I was thinking of I have a great band here. Getting together and just doing Burn the Sun from start to finish, and just calling it Burn the Sun and booking shows. And just this year, as an anniversary of when the band started, have the band, and it's just, right now I'm busy, but if we can book enough shows, I think we're going to do that. You know, just call it Burn the Sun, play From Heal the Waters to Missing You, good night. You know?
That would be cool. I mean, I miss, I still listen to those albums all the time, man. For me, Waking Hour, News, and from the first album, Where the Winds Blow, such cool songs, man. Oh, such a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, Waking Hour was a badass song. I love that song.
Yeah.
Waking Hour was a good one. Yeah. That's a Bozio idea right there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of ARK, I stayed away, you know, before ARK I was in TNT and RIOT and POWERMAD and, you know, bands that were very boom, boom, ga, boom, boom, ga, you know, 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to stretch and do my thing and, like, you know, do my style. So with Burn the Sun, a lot of stuff is no 2 and 4, like Waking Hour, that beat, that's completely Bozio influenced, you know, because he uses rhythms from around the world, like African and South American, but there's a lot of Bozio on those albums. But definitely Waking Hour, that's a Terry Bozio ripoff, I would say.
I think the main thing that you took from Bozio is how the drums influence the beat, and not just the beat, but I mean the overall structure of the song. You know, it's drum driven. You know, even the melodies are.
Yeah, like the way we recorded ARK is me and Tora would jam, or I would go in and just press record and just play drum beats, and then bring in the Tora, and at night we would work on putting a beat to that song. And the cool thing is, if you take the song off an ARK song, you could still kind of feel the song because the drums are playing melodically and different. It's not just AC/DC 2 and 4. I love that, but with ARK, I said there's so much rhythm you could do in life. Why play what everybody's doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And let me ask you, just really quickly, what did you? I'm a Bozio freak. So what was like one of your questions you asked Terry?
I know he's promoting a new tour where he's just playing by himself. I asked him about like general stuff about his career, about his other endeavors aside from Frank Zappa. I mean, Missing Persons, and well, for some reason he started slamming all of his other partners, like the Missing Persons. Why was Missing Persons not more successful? And he said, "Oh, because my ex-wife and the guitar player were on drugs and crazy all the time."
Oh man, yeah. It's funny because Missing Persons, I thought I would be the only one in the audience. I thought like I was the only one that loved them, but slowly I'm seeing they did have a huge fan base.
Yeah,
it was a cool band.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So back to you. Okay, yeah. So ARK, man, that was it was kind of one of those things where the drums were the first thing to go down a lot of times, and then the song was written around that. You know, a different way to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was very cool. And the topic I'd like to address is always the Michael Romeo's new album, War of the Worlds Part 1. It's been on rotation constantly here. You know, you saw my daughter jamming to it the other day.
Oh, she knows the lyrics, man.
She does. She's only 4.
Great. Great. It's a great video, man.
Yeah. And like, how much freedom did you have to work on the arrangements for that album?
It was Okay, funny thing is, like, Mike's one of my best friends, and I only met him before I filled in for Jason and did the Symphony X Iconoclast tour, which was 2014.
Yeah.
And ARK played Prog Power in 2001, and we opened up for Symphony X, and the main band was Camelot. My friend Roy, the vocals. And that's the only time I've ever seen Symphony X or really heard Symphony X. Of course, I listened a couple times in the car. My friend would say, check this Symphony X song out. But I didn't know much about them. And I got a call from Michael Romeo, and he said, we got a big problem. We got tour dates booked, and Jason has a heart problem. Can you fill in? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. He's like, no problem. We're kind of leaving in about 2.5 weeks. Can you learn all the shit? And I was like, yeah, I can learn it, no problem. And then he said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, man. And he said, if you can, I'm going to kick your ass. I said, no problem, send it over. And I'm all psyched because, you know, it's a big band and it was going to be a good tour. And the first song I listened to was Dehumanized, which is off Iconoclast. And it's psycho. I mean, just to learn that beat, the accents, the polyrhythm, it took me all day, man. I'm going, holy shit, that's one beat. And I just locked myself in the room and didn't listen to anything, didn't talk to anybody, and just learned that stuff. I didn't even have a drum set, really, because I just moved to Europe. So I practiced it on my legs, you know, just practicing hands on the knees. And I got it. We went and we ripped it up. We did the tour, and we became great friends.
Yeah.
And then Romeo kept saying, I'm going to do a solo album. No, I'm going to do an album, he kept saying, but I just don't know when. And I went to see them in Milano a couple of years ago, and Romeo said, okay, I think I'm ready to do it. So we started talking on the phone, and he started sending me some stuff over. And he said, it's written, Romeo is a great drum programmer. So the demos he made were written like I was playing drums. You know what I mean? Like he structured it around like my plan. And it was like, it wasn't like a guitar player playing on a drum machine. Like Yngwie used to send me shit, which was like a 30-second note triplet button going, like play that. You know, it was impossible. Romeo knows drummers. So he wrote it pretty much around my plan. And he said, all I'm going to ask you, he goes, I want John Macaluso. I want you to play, but I'm just going to ask you to stick to the kick patterns pretty similar. If you play like my kick patterns, he goes, you could do whatever fill you want, whatever ride cymbal beat, just stick to my kick patterns. So it was kind of like written for me, and we have a similar interest in style. So it was kind of a pleasure. But it was the first album I did in years where I took a month and a half off before I went in the studio, and I learned this shit. I just learned it for real. So when I went in the studio, I pretty much knew what I was going to do, and I would only improv on fills, you know.
Okay.
So it wasn't easy, but it was kind of a pleasure. And the engineer was amazing too.
Yeah. Was there any particular song that you found difficult to record or to play on drums? I mean, I like what you did on the chorus of Gin, for example, that I listened to today. It's really cool how you highlighted the other instruments there. So, yeah. Yeah,
Gin is, the chorus is a thing, it's a thing I use a lot called linear drumming. And Bozier uses it too. Linear is like when no two notes hit at the same time. So you can get 4 separate rhythms. And the chorus of Gin, the standard way would be like boom, boom, ba, boom, boom. But this is the ride cymbals playing a separate rhythm, the floor tom, the kick, the snare, and it works. Romeo loved it, man. But that wasn't complicated. What was complicated was the verse on Black. I don't know why, it was just giving me hell. In the studio, I'm not one of those guys who presses the talent button and copy and paste and. You know, I use technology as a tool, not a crutch. So I said, I'm going to play this shit. So I just had to play it over and over and over until I got it right. You know, so that was a bitch, though. That took me hours just to get the verse.
Wow. And the song Fucking Robots is the one that's generating the most controversy. Do you like that one? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think it's so. What song do you know where there's only a chorus? And like he actually, I think he got some dude in, some like guy in the studio, one of these like young generation dudes that knows how to do all that stuff for real, dubstep and programming. So I think he had some guy come in and do all that shit. But it might sound like a weird song. Okay, War of the Worlds is an album from start to finish. It's kind of like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you just listen to Robots, it's kind of like missing the first 20 minutes of a movie. That's the way I look at it. But if you listen to the album in context, it's pretty much robots taking over the planet is one scenario, or you can think about a double meaning, our planet today with the wars go on and everything. That's the way Romeo wrote it. So I love it. I mean, like I'm saying, I think it's a big part of the movie Robots.
Mm-hmm.
But I read some of the comments. I try to stay away from YouTube, but because it's nasty. But in the beginning, I was reading comments and people are like, "What the fuck is this?" The guitar players are like, "Where's the guitar solo?"
Yeah. Fans don't seem to make up their minds, right? Sometimes it's too repetitive, and then you innovate and they, what's this? Go back to what you were doing before. So it's.
I know. If he made an Yngwie style neoclassical record, the first thing would be like, "This stuff was done in 1984. What the hell are you doing?"
Exactly.
In a way, you can't win with prog people because I'm a prog guy, but a lot of these guys, the kids sitting home, and they have to comment. They have to be intelligent, and they're never happy. It's like, and then he does something completely special, and the first two singles are a little Symphony X, but he's Mike Romeo. So what do you expect? You can't win either way, man.
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't even read. He doesn't even have Facebook. He doesn't read that shit. So he's kind of in his own world. So
lucky guy.
I think that's why. Exactly. I think he's smart in that way, man.
To me, the biggest revelation of this album is Rick. I never heard of him before, but I knew the abilities of all the other players, but not him. But did you know him from before or not?
No. When Mike called me and started to talk about the record, he said, "I got a great guy. His name's Rick." I said, "Rick what?" He's like, "I don't know. Some dude from New York, man." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Tell me about him." And he said, he met this guy. He's a young dude. He's in his 20s, I think.
Oh.
I never met him yet. I'm going to meet him in September. I'm going back to New York.
Mm-hmm.
But he said Mike went to like a jam with his friends. It was like a basement jam, hang out. They were playing Sabbath and stuff. And he said, this is years before War of the Worlds.
Mm.
And he said this kid came down, he belted out great vocals, and Mike got his number and said, one day we're going to do something. And Mike called him, and it's great. I mean, I think I was so shocked when I got the first vocal back because I didn't know how it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I did all the drums, and Mike said, okay, I'm going to send you the shit and see what you think. And he sent me the first track. I think it was Gin. And I was like, wow. It was kind of like I had to sit back. I listened to it again. I'm like, do I like this or do I not like it? And then I said, fuck, I like it. Because I was expecting more heavy Russell thing. But that would I think that wouldn't have been smart because it would sound too Symphony X. So I think he did the right thing because Rick's got a completely different voice. And he's real versatile. I mean, he could go heavy and he can go, he can go John Anderson high. He can go Metallica style. He's like real. Yeah, he's a useful dude, man. But I'm really happy with the vocals, man. I'm really happy.
Cool. He reminds me a bit of Ronnie Romero. I don't know if you know him. He's playing with the new Rainbow now. He's the singer of the new incarnation of Rainbow. His voice reminds me a bit of him. But
I know the name because they did Heal the Waters at Prog Power, the band, and they did an ARK cover. I heard the ARK fans, and I think he does something with Mike Tirana too, right? He's the guy who sang for something with Mike Tirana.
Well, he's in a band called.
I know the guy.
Yeah, he's in a band called Lords of Black, which is very cool too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Rick reminds you of him?
Yeah, in a few plays, in a few songs. Yeah, and. Has the subject of playing the album live already been discussed, and would you be available for the live dates if they come around?
I mean, the only thing I would cancel playing with Romeo would be like if Van Halen called me. You know? Otherwise, Romeo is, to me, he's a great friend, and to play with live, man. I mean, with some bands, I'll use a click track on stage even because I want it to sound like the album and I want to get the exact tempo. Mm-hmm. And sometimes guitar players might pull you a little forward or never back. They're always rushing. So, but with Romeo, man, it's like he's locked in a groove. He's great to play with live, and you know, he's one of my great friends, so we have a blast. So, I mean, we talked about it. At first, he was like, no, it's too complicated. We need it's a big orchestra and everything. But slowly, he's starting to say maybe. I think maybe is good. You know what I mean? But I think the only way he would want to do it, realistically, is with an orchestra. He doesn't want to do with backing tracks, 4 guys on stage. And I think he's smart.
Yeah.
But if we can pull that off, it would be incredible. Even if it was like 5 or 6 big shows with an orchestra, it would be sick.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I spoke with him a few weeks ago also for the same website, and he was still having doubts, but I mean, considering it a bit more proactively than when he recorded, for sure. Yeah. So
he keeps saying we got to see how it does, and already. Okay, forget about the YouTube kids with the comments. If you really look at the websites and the fanzines, it's 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 point.
Yeah.
And you know, it just got album of the month with one of these websites, and I think I don't know about sales because I don't know what the hell is going on with CD sales anymore. I don't know what's up with that. But as far as people who like it, it's pretty successful already. So Mike was pretty much saying, let's see how it does. So I'm just saying, I hope when I go back in September to visit my parents that I'm also going for rehearsal. You know, I'm bringing my sticks anyway, man.
Do it.
You know, so I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I hope.
Yeah, I hope to. Going back to your starting point as a musician, what propelled you to play drums, and what were your main influences in the beginning, man?
Yeah, it was Keith Moon. I played with Keith Moon. It was The Who. I saw Tommy, and Keith just going sick on the drums. He was like the focal point. You know, the guy. And I was like, you know, I love the Beatles, I love Ringo, but, you know, when you're watching The Who, you're looking at Keith, you know, and it was like, and then he kicked over the drum set, and, you know, and I was like, what the hell is this? And at the time, I bought a guitar. It was like $20 guitar or something. And I had a little thing called a pitch pipe, which you would blow into it to tune. And I couldn't get the thing in tune. So I was a horrible guitar player, and I smashed it in the street like Townsend. And then I bought, just like Keith, I bought an orange sparkled drum set for $20 at a garage sale, and brought it home, and I started off, the first song I played to, I had a little radio in my basement, was a Steely Dan song called Ricky Don't Lose That Number. I'll never forget it. And then Wipeout. And I was obsessed since the beginning, man. But Keith was the big influence. I still use, every kid I have is orange, the color.
Yeah.
He's still like I'm a Keith Moon fanatic. He's my hero, and he started me playing drums.
Very cool. And you studied with Rod Morgenstein and Tommy Aldridge as well, right? 2 legends. Yeah.
Oh, 2 legends. Also Joe Franco and the drummer from Zappa, Ralph Humphrey. But yeah, Rod's a good friend of mine. I see him when I go back. I'm going to see him in September.
Very cool. I was hoping for a DIXIE DREGS tour to hit here, Toronto, but they were just in the US. They had a reunion tour last year. Yeah.
I heard it was amazing.
Yeah. And another thing that probably everyone asks you about, and I'm not digging for dirt here by no means, but what was it like to work with Yngwie Malmsteen?
You know, honestly, Yngwie liked me, and I liked him. I made him laugh. I told him stupid jokes, and as a drummer on stage with Yngwie, I mean, it was a dream because he was like, "Give me a 2-measure fill," while another guy would say, "Give me a 1-measure fill." Yngwie was like, "Macaluso, hit the snare, really hit the snare." He started me playing extra heavy, like rim shotting the snare. Because in rehearsal, there was no mics on the drums, and he would rehearse with Ken Marshalls. I can't hear you, Macaluso. Hit the snare. So I had to cut through the volume. But, you know, they talk about him being difficult, but I don't want to say dirt. But there's other guys I work with that are pretty damn famous who are a lot more difficult than Yngwie.
Yeah.
At least Yngwie is Yngwie, and Yngwie's brilliant, and I respect him. But of course, there was controversy, man. That's just the way it is. I look at it now, and I realize, like after being with ARK, it's a pain in the ass to be a band leader. You know, I see why the guy has to be the way he is sometimes. It took me a long time to see that. But I always respected him. I loved playing with him live. And there were difficult times, of course, man. But, you know, I respect him. And I heard through the grapevine, I'm not going to say from who, but a journalist asked him who's his favorite drummer, and he said it was me. And he said, don't tell anybody that. I'm telling you. But it was weird because I used to walk around with the headphones on in school listening to Marching Out, and I was in 11th grade. And then I'll never forget, like, rehearsals were tough because it was like, you know, 8 hours, and you really wouldn't play any English songs. You play like Deep Purple and hang out, listen to music, and just sit around and drink beers, you know? And, you know, I could never play with them drinking beer, so I would watch them drink fucking beers for 8 hours. And, you know, and then he would say, come on, what am I paying you for? Get behind the drums. And the last hour, we would play a couple of Yngwie songs.
Jesus.
But I'll never forget when the bus pulled up, we were going on tour, we were leaving Florida, and they took all the amplifiers out and put them in the truck. And I remember on the back of the amplifier was Yngwie Malmsteen, but it was all beat up and chipped, and you could tell he's been around the planet a bunch of times. And it just hit me. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm playing with Yngwie. You know, I couldn't even pronounce his name when I first heard him. And, you know, at the end, an unfortunate thing happened with Jørn. And I actually got Jørn in the band because, you know, he called me. He said, who's that guy? The way I got Yngwie gig was I sent him ARK's first album. And then one day I got a call. This is Yngwie Malmsteen with the J, Yngwie Malmsteen. And he said, I got this album, ARK. It's really good. Is it you playing drums? I said, of course, man. And he says, how would you like to come down to Florida next week and start recording my new album? It's going to be Rising Force album. And I said, I'm there, man. Get me the ticket. So I flew down immediately, and that was it. But ARK got me the gig. So then when he needed a singer, he said, what about that guy Jørn? And I was like, oh, no. And now I got my band ARK, and because I had ARK, and I had you know, he wanted Jørn. And I was like, oh, is this a smart move? I don't know what to do. So I called Jørn, and Jørn said, no, I don't know about playing with Yngwie, and I heard too many things. And I said, dude, we're opening up the deal. And he goes, okay, get me a ticket.
For sure.
Yeah, so,
I would have done the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but playing with him was great. I mean, there was problems, of course. I'm sure everybody's got, you know, it was difficult in ways, but it was more great than it was difficult. And honestly, with the way things are today in the world, I wish I had tours like that. Because we would go out for fucking 5 months, 4 months, you know, and today, you're lucky if you got 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's getting more and more difficult, right? To get more attention. And,
It's unbelievable. It's not the attention. It's just to make a living. You know, because everybody's doing videos now, and you can tell they're not even in the same country. They record the album, and you see the split screen with 4 guys, and they're asking, can you pay for my album with a Kickstart program? It's making musicians like these kids, like little babies on the street begging. And then everything's free the next day. Like, if you want Romeo's album now, you can just go listen to it on YouTube. That's fucked up to me.
Yeah.
He spent a year writing it, a year recording it. And it's free already. So, to me, it's, I don't know what the future's going to be. Unfortunately, this is all I do. I never did anything else in my life. So, if it gets worse, I might be flipping pizza.
No, that's not gonna happen. But you're doing like session work these days, right? I saw on your website, like you advertise your services as a session musician. Anyone you can talk to us about that you're writing with or performing with?
Yeah, I mean, I just did an album with a great band from Germany called Tomorrow's Eve, and they did a lot of records in the past, and it was so cool. I mean, the drumming I love on this album because when I heard the riffs, it could have easily been. This is how drumming can change. You could talk to Bozy about this. This is how drumming can change a song. If you would listen to what they gave me with the drum machine, it could have been standard metal, you know. But I said, what about if I go linear style and almost techno metal? You know what I mean? Like if I was playing. Like Bozy playing for Rammstein. That's exactly the way I would put it. And that's the way I played. And Mike Rapont played bass in Symphony X. And it came out killer, man. It came out great. Check it out. It's Tomorrow's Eve.
I'm looking forward to it. Now I've got to chase this one.
Yeah, it's out. It's a great singer. And then I just do albums, man. Like a guy might be in France or something. He sends me the tracks and I record them and send them back. Or sometimes they fly me in. Like I'm going to Norway next week to do another album with a guitar player named Lars Lande. I did his first album, and he's a killer. You know. So yeah, I do a lot of session work. I used to do more, but like what's happening is a lot of these dudes, they can't afford anything anymore.
Yeah.
So they'll program it, or they'll get some drummer to come in. He'll play basic, and then they quantize it, which is really, for me, it's a sin. Yeah. You know. Not to have a real drummer come in and play. But a lot of these guys can't afford it because the way the world is, man. So
it's
even
sad,
sessions
really.
are getting less. Yeah, it's getting crazy, man.
Yeah. Do you have any collaborations or projects that you think could have lasted longer a bit, or?
The ARK should have lasted longer.
Yeah.
You know, ARK should have Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like something I wanted to go longer or something?
Yeah, like, for example, you could have played with Malmsteen for, a longer period, or another band that you formed that could have lasted longer. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Malmsteen thing would have went great because, honestly, like, first album I did, Alchemy, when we got the drum sound, it was incredible. Chris Tangrides produced, and he passed away last year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Chris worked on like Painkiller from Priest, and he's unbelievable. So when I left that studio in Florida after my drums were recorded, it was an incredible drum sound. And then when I got the mix, I was like, what the hell happened? Because Chris got fired or quit. I'm not sure what went down, and Yngwie kind of mixed it with some other guy, and it got destroyed. And I love that album, man. But and then the second one was just as bad. Like the mix again. I mean, they just slaughtered it. But the good thing, Yngwie was starting to let me really do my thing in the studio. Like for Water End the Wars, he was in the other room hanging out playing video games most of the time, and he would come in and go, let me hear it. Very cool, very cool. Okay, keep going. And he was giving me freedom. So I feel on another album I could have really did my thing, and I think that would have been great. Like my real style mixed with Yngwie. I wish that would have went down, but the shit that happened with me, him, and Jørn, it's kind of unsavable, unfortunately. I wish that never happened.
Yeah, well, that's sad, really. But, yeah, man, I, for one, think that ARK should have lasted longer, for sure. I agree with you. I mean, those two albums are still iconic, still to this day, I listen to those on heavy rotation all the time, so...
That's great.
It's
amazing to hear.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like with the internet, we're getting new fans. I mean, there's some people are discovering it now. And if I just put a post up, I put like a video of me in a clinic playing Where the Winds Blow or something. There's like, it'd be like 300 likes, boom, 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 400 likes instantly. Like there's a big fan base for ARK. But it's just, us three idiots can't get along.
Oh.
It's not really me and Jørn. It's me and Tora. I'll put it straight out. And I don't know what their relationship is, Jørn and Tora. But it's always the same shit. So but writing, writing, there's nobody I write with better because we're like telepathic. We know where the other guy's going to go. Mm-hmm. So the third album, man, I mean, I have lyrics already. The lyrics are almost done. And, you know, we wrote a lot of the music. The music is almost done. So it's a shame it'll never be heard.
Yeah.
Well, it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And about the War of the Worlds, I know that Romeo did a run-through of one of his solos. Would you be able or consider doing the same for the drum parts of that album?
I just did. Oh. I just put a post on my site. It's funny you say that, man.
Oh.
I did Jim.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Be cool to hear that one. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'm psyched about it. I mean, I saw Romeo's, and Romeo's was insane. I mean, he looks like he's not even trying. I mean, he kills, man.
Yeah, my wife was passing through the living room. I was watching that, and she goes, "What's this guy doing? He's not even feeling anything. You know, he's just going there, doing what he does. You know, he's not even blinking. Jesus, man, that one was that's freakishly good."
And his riffs, man, he's just so heavy and like, for example, we played live. We played When All Is Lost. So the guitar solo section in the middle, he wanted to take it out like Pink Floyd style in the beginning, and then build. And that was really when we started to notice that we improv good together. You know, like nobody steps on each other. So. Well, he's one of my favorites on the planet, man. He's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I missed the tour that you played with them for a few days only because I had to go to Norway for work, and you guys were playing in Brazil. So that's a shame, man. But I'm hoping.
That was the second gig, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hoping I get to see both of you guys on stage very soon. I hope so.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. What's your favorite track on the album?
That's the thing. I mean, it's a sign of a good album for me is that the favorite track changes all the time. So at first it was Black, you know. First it was Black, then it was Oblivion. Now I think it's the Fear of the Unknown. I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
I think I've been listening to it nonstop, to be honest, since I got it. You know. Yeah.
It's a killer.
Yeah.
Hey, my favorite fill I ever did. I did about 200 albums. Really, the favorite fill that I ever did in my life is the big ass fill on Fear of the Unknown. I think it's like 204 somewhere. There's a big fill I did. That's my favorite fill I ever did in my life. Yeah. It's on that track.
Yeah, that song is heavy on the drums for sure. You know, as is the case with all the other ones on the album. Man, it's a drumming album for sure. You know, it's a good album for people who look out for drummers. I would say so.
Let me go, man.
Yeah.
You know how we did it? Like, he was in New Jersey and I was in Italy. I recorded it in a place called San Marino with my buddy Simone Mularoni. And we would record, like, we did 2 songs a day. I could have did more, but I really wanted to focus. I said, I'm going to play this stuff. This is not going to be cut and paste. You know, I'm going to play these tracks for real. That's what I do. But the thing is, Romeo's shit is... it's pretty complicated, but I'm lucky he wrote it with me in mind because it was like comfortable. So we would record 2 songs, send it to him at night, and in the morning we'd have the notes, change that fill, change that. And the first day was like a fucking book. And I go, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. We were like, oh my God. Before we started the third track, we had to spend hours redoing shit. Yeah. So then the second morning, it was less. And by the third morning, it was like, okay, that's cool.
You got it.
And when I knew I had them, I knew, because we did 2 albums. We did 18 songs.
Oh, yeah.
Part two is going to come out after this year. So, like, by the third or fourth day, I wrote, I think I did Oblivion, and he wrote Spectacular. I said, oh, that's a good word. Okay. So then there was no more notes, and we just rocked, man.
Yeah. Very cool.
Thanks, my man.
Okay. Take care, dude.
Thanks
so much.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, folks, that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Jørn Macaluso, one of the busiest drummers on the planet. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast in order to get notified of all our interviews, as well as our Talking Perspectives podcast. Make sure you like us on Facebook and Twitter, and check us out on www.sonicperspectives.com. We leave you with a great performance by Jørn Macaluso on Michael Romeo's new single, Black. Take care and rock on.
a burning fuse. Yet it's the only tool we want to use. A revocation of the right to choose.